good says B?
Well, the boys are
Shreds
back in
that
town.
I'm rocking the best day, representing as well.
Oh, man, what's going on? What do you got there behind you, B?
Well, I got all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah.
Should we start from the left here?
Let's do it.
So we got some fishing rods over here.
Oh, man.
I got this board right here is a 6'4", what I would call step up. It's kind of the one I go to when it's a little bit overhead, maybe to double overhead, or the travel one I always throw in the bag just in case it gets a little hairy out there. That's been my tried and true shape though. I brought it to Puerto Rico, brought it to where else? Brought it to Costa Rica, ridden all over Jersey, New York. It handles really well on steep days. The glass is pretty light.
What manufacturer is it, or shaper?
Me.
Oh,
Me?
man.
I shaped it myself. Yeah, that's my handle I call Ghost of Essex. If you see the lion anywhere, it's a prancing lion. Chances are I've shaped it. There's a bunch of boards out there that that are probably on resale at this point, and people are passing around. Funny enough, I had a friend send me something from Long Island. They found one board of mine. It's a single fin kind of green black railed board that I brought to Costa Rica. I have a picture of me on a really big wave on, and some random person out in Montauk has it and has been riding in juicy waves, and he was looking to resell it, but he advertised it as a big wave board, which makes me laugh pretty big here. And it's still holding up.
No way. That's awesome, man. And you always have that what is that, the pirate chip on the bottom, right?
Yeah, always a pirate chip. Always at the tail, and just want to put it here. But this one's a 6.0 fish that I've recently retired. It's got a bunch of pressure dings. This one is my latest favorite. It's a RNF retro in C4 technology, made by Lost. The manufacturer is actually here in Jersey. I'm sorry, not on the East Coast. It's down in I think South Carolina. Inspired shaper his handle.
I think he's in either North Carolina or South. I think it might be like right there on the border.
Yeah,
pretty sure. I think what's his name rides for him. I can't think of his name right now.
The new technology for this one, they use cork layering instead of balsa wood stringers. There's not a single pressure ding on it, and I've almost ridden this exclusively for the past 2 years.
That's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
I remember Josh brought that back for you, right?
Yeah. He went down and he picked it up, and it's all I've been riding, and thing just goes.
Well, since we're on the surfing thing for here a moment, I just saw maybe about an hour ago, right? Announced today, World Surf League cancels Sunset Open and postpones Santa Cruz Pro. COVID-19 concerns continue to throw a wrench in the 2021 season. Man, that's kind of crazy. I know last week we had there was that.
Looks like there was another update since then.
Was there?
As a result of Hawaii's suspension of all surfing competitions until further notice, the upcoming that's the CT tour though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on hold in the big waves, the Jaws and PA.
Oh, there we go.
The Jaws is canceled now.
Yeah.
Cancel Sunset Open and Big Wave Jaws. No way.
It bums me out. Sunset. It's actually the only competition I've ever seen in person, and I saw it in passing when I was in Hawaii. Back in 2012, and I think that's the ultimate test for surfing: is the open playing field, giant waves, open ocean wave. You have to really earn it when to get a good one, and that's I'm really bummed that one's canceled.
Yeah, that sucks, man. It really does.
To me, I mean, sorry, Michael, I'll interject. To me, it's kind of crazy because surfing's one of those sports where they usually don't have a ton of spectators. Like, out in Fiji, nobody's there watching them. Now, when they're in California, it's a little different. They get big, huge crowds, and sometimes the North Shore. But as we saw with Pipeline, they closed the beach off to spectators. There was no spectators. I don't get it, because most of these heats, at most, they'll overlap and have 4 in the water when they overlap.
Yeah.
It might be a little too precautionary for me, but
From what I read,
go ahead.
I think it was Hawaii. Sorry, Mike. It was Hawaii actually is the one who I think all surfing events are postponed, or I forget the verbs they used to describe what they were doing, but Hawaii was the one who made the decision.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I mean, they're able to run an entire football season with 52-man teams. So it's like, why couldn't you run a surfing competition when no one's in the same area at the same time? You're out in the water and the giant plain area, especially at sunset. That's 3 football fields worth of a surf break.
Well, they did cancel the Santa Cruz Pro too, which is California, and they said based on primarily the surge of COVID in California, the postponement is also heavily influenced by the length of times our athletes have been away from home and by the complexities of global travel. The thing is, most of these pros who are surfing, the tour, where are they right now, B? Hawaii. We saw what Pipe did yesterday was nuts. It was scary. I mean, you saw, I don't know if you saw on Instagram, Koa Rothman saying it was scary out there. I mean, there was bombs coming through, but they're all there surfing Pipe together.
Yep.
They're all there anyway. That's kind of the stupidity of it to me is they're all there. They've been doing it, and it sounds like it's just a little bit too much let's try and make everyone feel good about things. And Joey's on the move. Look at that.
Man's on the go.
Man, always a man on the run.
They are running the Triple Crown, and it's like the official ruling is basically Haleiwa, one at Sunset and one at Pipeline. So a wave at each location counts, and you submit videos. So basically, whatever your best ride is at every spot throughout the season is going to be counted, and they give him points. And John at Haleiwa got like a 94. I think it's out of 100. It's like 94.5, and he absolutely ripped that wave. It was a massive Haleiwa day, and I've surfed Haleiwa at like 6 to 8 foot, and it's not an easy wave to surf. But
now, was it 6 to 8 foot Hawaiian or 6 to 8 foot Jersey?
Oh, 6 to 8 foot Jersey, which is 2 foot Hawaiian.
Right.
But John ripped it, and that after I saw the replay of that footage, I thought to myself, like, wow, they could just run a contest like that. So these guys are going to go where they're going to go anyway, right? Each of them have their own filmer. So just get footage of them surfing their best wave. They can submit one wave, and then they can score them on, accordingly.
That's a good way. I mean, just like wave of the winter kind of deal there. But I we saw them do it with Pipe. That's what I go back to with Pipe. They just shut the beach down and let the guys surf.
Now let me pose this question for both of you. Do you think that this is something that's going to continue after the world of COVID? Do you think that the competitions are going to move to, like Brian was saying, that you're going to film the wave of the year or whatever, and you're going to submit it, and that's how you're going to have a tournament going forward? Or is that going to be kind of an offshoot?
In my opinion, no, because the whole competitive nature of it, you'll see them surf these spots in not ideal conditions. If they go to that route, those guys could be out there for, if they give them a 3-week period or a 4-week period and pick off the absolute best gyms out of 100 tries. I think there's something to be said to surfing that heat and that heat time in said conditions and performing under the pressure. I kind of feel like if you give guys the time in the world, like Brian said, to pick the right waves and the right conditions, you're going to be getting 10s. Those guys are so good. Everybody on that tour are amazing riders. They're all going to be submitting 10s,
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I think what the changes that'll happen is businesses are going to operate smaller, right? I mean, that's just the reality of it. I think what they'll do is I've said for years to you, at least the two of you actually, they should limit the amount of guys on tour, because they can never run an event in 2 days, even though most best swells events are 2 days most. Maybe a day build 2 days of solid swell and then the day of fading.
Well, they usually give them like a 3 to 4 week holding period, right? Where they
But think about it. If they cut the tour in half, they could run in 2 days. And I'm not saying get rid of the guys. I mean, just do a dream tour scenario where it's just the top. Let's say, I don't know. I'm just gonna throw a number out there. The top 16, and instead of the top 32, and they run them in 2 days, and that's it. And then the bottom guys all join the qualifying series, and instead of being the dream tour, they just go to all these different locations that on the CT level.
This kind of can relate back to the fishing tournament world, because I think what would spawn from that would be you would get other leagues.
Yeah. And maybe that needs to happen.
That because those top 30 guys would be like, look, I grinded through the CTs to get here, and you're going to cut us.
Yeah. Well, give me your warning, right?
True, but what happens is though, like if you look at fishing the leagues, I mean, there's all these infighting between the leagues. I don't know. I think they have a good proven system. I do. I think there's room for improvements, and like Brian's saying, conditions. I think overall, like last year, all their events pretty much had bombing. I mean, good surf for the most part, at least a couple of the days. You know, there was a pipe Masters like 3 years ago where the finals was held not in the greatest.
Yeah, it's when Gabrielle beat Mick Fanning. It was Mick Fanning last year. He beat him with
the
air.
Waves. Exactly. I mean, that was kind of sorry to watch because you know, pipe is supposed to be.
It's supposed to be pipe.
It's the wave.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So
the worst part of that year, let me just touch on that real quick because fans hear this. Mick got barreled at Pipeline, a real barrel.
I remember texting you.
Did a turn. Yeah, we were texting, and then he actually got a backup of a little cover up and a couple turn combo. Gabe did two single air waves, basically where he just aired out, landed it, and rode out of it, and somehow beat Mick that year.
In that last wave too, remember that was the one he completely what's it called? Tried to sell it to the judges and everything, and claim, and he was claiming so hard. And I remember watching how the hell. First off, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a Gabe fan. Something about Gabe just drives me. His attitude, he just doesn't seem like a nice guy.
Yeah, Brian and I
should
talked
not
about
have
that.
won that event, dude.
Yeah,
that was mixed. That was a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah.
Well, Riley
guys,
with the Jaws when she was 4 or 5. We had pictures of her staying up on the hill. And it was 80-foot surf. It's the craziest thing you'll ever see. We have video of it. Yeah.
You got to send that to us. I'd like to see that.
I will. I was trying to look for it while we were talking.
Well, we were touching a little bit on fishing, and you sent me something, Joe, earlier this week. Mundy catches 40-pound limit of bass to win the Rayburn BFL. True. I mean, holy cow, man! That is unbelievable.
It was the first BFL of the year. I think it was January. It was this past Saturday. It was on Sam Rayburn. It was the Cowboy division, which is Texas area. Guy who's won is Derek Mundy. It was the 4th largest limit out of all the FLW events ever to be weighed. It was 40 pounds, 10 ounces. He had 11-pound, 10-ounce kicker in that bag. It's insane. Absolutely insane.
Well,
and the thing is, the guy he edged out had a huge bag too. I mean,
28.6. That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
28,
which is a winner. And you're today.
Yeah. I mean, Texas breeds huge fish. 40-pound bags don't happen. I mean, it's rare. It's rare. I mean, you'll get 24, 25, occasional 30, but to have a 40 and 10 ounces and then to be in second and lose with a 28 and 6-ounce bag, dude, that's kind of got to hurt.
Well, I was going to say, do you think he's upset about losing, or do you think it's more of I just had an unbelievable day and this guy it wasn't that I lost, it's just that someone won more than I did?
I'll share a picture of the screen while I answer that.
I'd be so pissed.
I would be pissed because what happens is you're out there on the water and, you have this huge bag at 28 pounds and in your mind, that's it. I've won, with a bag that big.
Fish on the left, man. Let's just holy man.
That's got to be the 11-pounder. I mean,
bigger than his torso.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at them all. Those are all his 5. That's the smallest one. That's probably a 5. I mean, they're huge. Those 4 fish. Absolutely humongous.
That is a great day on the water, man.
It's insane. And when you read the article, at MajorLeagueFishing.com, it's insane, and what Mundy was talking about. I mean, just how amazing day that is, and once in a lifetime. And he caught 4 of them in crankbaits. That's a fun way to fish,
Crankbaits,
fun way to fish. So let me stop sharing. I mean, it's amazing for the first event of the year for all the BFLs to have somebody crack almost a 41-pound bag. I mean, that's over. We figured out. So 5 fish. It's over an 8-pound average per fish. I mean, could you imagine?
Unheard of.
Oh, no,
That's crazy.
I couldn't.
Absolutely crazy.
Absolutely couldn't. That's yeah. When you sent that to me, I couldn't believe it. Like I said, I don't really follow the tournament for fishing too much, but that like,
well, yeah,
even I knew that was amazing. Like
I was at my mom's, hanging out with the puppies, and we all belong to this group of you fishing the BFLs, and they posted. I'm like, this can't be right. And then I saw it. I'm like, oh my god, absolutely nuts, huge bag.
Yeah, that's freaking crazy.
For the listeners who don't understand this, I think I've only caught one fish in my entire lifetime, one bass that was over 3 pounds.
Yeah, a lot of fisher people, go their whole life with not catching something over 4.
Now, Brian, where was that fish caught? Do you remember?
I sure do. It was on a rank river in New Jersey that is as dirty as it gets. And I remember the exact location. And I can tell you there's a specific building that has archways in it that I cast in the archway, and it came right off the archway and got it.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're talking about. Now, that's funny. My PB came from Florida. Although I came dangerously close to it this summer, and I would say Donna bypassed my PB in the town lake here, and I couldn't believe it. She just destroyed it. But Joe, where'd you catch your PB?
Well, I was going to say a lot of people catch their PBs down in Florida or Texas. I mean, that's down south. They grow them big, but they're big up north too. Actually, my biggest was 9.4, and it was out of the reservoir down the street, which was a shock to me. And then the following day, about a 9.2 and like a 7.6.
Wow.
When I caught that 9.4, I was talking to you. I left the water. They say don't do that because if you're catching big ones, stay. But when you catch a fish that big, dude, you're shaking. Even in the 6 pound range, they're huge. It's huge. I mean, absolutely humongous. I wish I had somebody to take pictures with me because taking a picture of a fish that big by yourself without a GoPro, it is not easy. The 9.4 was like 24 3/4 inches. So it was almost 25 inches long.
Well, you got to do what the guys do on Instagram, right? Is they get those little pop sockets and those like little adapters for those little arms, and they put it on the ground in front of them. And then what you do is you make your fish look even bigger, like those ones that I've been sending you guys, where you hold it out like this, and something that's, looks like this close to me. Look how much, let's pull it out. Look how much bigger that looks all of a sudden. Yeah. It's massive. Yeah. That's a big difference. And I was telling Jimmy and Ryan, our nephews, that, and they were like, people do that? And I said, yeah. It was like, it's just everything looks bigger. It's all about perception when you
all the time. I'm going to share a screen again, and we can prove our points here. So, all right, let me make this big. So this is the day I was with Michael. I don't hold the fish like that. This was almost a 5 pound fish, and that was beautiful. By looking at that picture, you can't see that.
No.
Where's that 7? I'll find the 7 later and show you guys. But it's the same way. I couldn't,
it was on towards the bottom there, wasn't it? It was before.
No, this is the 7. Here it is. Yeah. I mean, you can see how big the mouth is. I'm not tall, but I have big hands. I mean, that fish, I could fit a fist and a half in there. The thing was huge.
7.4.
But the thing is, if I had that fish and held it out like that, I mean, it
looked like a dinosaur.
It would look humongous. Yeah, a damn dinosaur. A lot of guys do that, and it's with social media and picture sharing, whatever.
Let's stay on that for a moment. It was I was sending you pictures of this guy here in Jersey. We won't burn him at all or anything like that. We won't show his pictures, but I was sending him. I said, Joe, look at these pictures. I've sent them to you too, Brian, but you weren't on this thread that Joe and I were talking about it. And I said, Joe comes back to me, goes, bro, that's these were over the course of we'll say 6 months that this guy's posting photos of fishing. And Joe goes, bro, that's the same fish, and he's wearing the same outfit. And you're like, wait a second, he's got hundreds of likes on these photos, and these fish are beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not taking away from the fact that he caught this fish. More than likely, he caught this fish, and he's holding it out like this, so it looks like a big monster right in front of you. And he's wearing the same outfit, wearing the same hat. And what he does is he'll remove a jacket or whatever it is. But it is actually, if you took a screenshot and took the two pictures, put them next to each other, it is the same location with the same fish.
And he was just removing a piece of clothing.
And it was 6 months apart that he was posting. Would be like, look, I caught another monster. It's like, don't do that, man. Like, it's so disingenuous. Now, don't get me wrong. I post photos sometimes of fish that I've caught later on, but I'm not claiming that I just caught it.
No,
and I'm not.
It's like a review. Like, I'm posting pictures of fish I caught in 2020, and I stay on fish from 2020. A lot of guys do that, and I'm convinced a couple of those pictures. Because I was really looking at him, and like he had his hand in that generic position like this, and some of them you could kind of see. It looks like he literally cut a fish and like laid in his hand. Because there's a couple where the fingers are like not right with the fishes. Like it's clear as day on a couple of those. Like, but in the world of Instagram, likes, unfortunately can get you sponsorships now.
Yeah. Crazy.
I was joking with Donna. I said, what I'm going to have to start doing is I'm going to have to start removing my shirt and like holding them and flexing or doing something odd like that. It'll increase my likes for sure. And I'm going to have to hold the fish out like this so that, it's obviously much larger than.
Or you have Donna put a bikini on and hold the fish, and then you'll have 30,000 views. I mean, that's a big thing in the industry that people talk about nowadays.
We talked about it a couple episodes ago. Yeah, but one of the I did see a guy, and it's funny. I follow him, and he put a hashtag girls who fish, and he put in parentheses next to it. It said, "I was told to put this because this gets all the likes," and I thought that was funny. So for a picture of a fish that I took, I had just put hashtag girls that fish, and now. Was nothing scandal. It was just literally the fish, and sure enough, the likes had increased exponentially, and it was just really funny to me that that's what it takes. I don't know.
But it kind of rubs me the wrong way because there are a lot of women who fish and fish the right way, and they're incredible women, and it kind of takes away from them because they're not out there and they're. Right. Insert whatever you want them to wear.
We went over this. I don't think we need to rehash it because it's one of those things that just going to take us down a dark path of reminiscing about getting pissed off. But what I will say is, that BFL man is really cool. I think what you were saying, Joe, about maybe surfing going that route. Let's circle back on that for a moment, like splitting Major League Fishing, BFL, and all these other different types of tournament circuits actually kind of makes sense for surfing, right? I know, Brian, you've been huge into watching World Surfing.
Fishing has the Big Five, MLF Big Five, which is MLF and FLW. So they have two top pro series, the MLF Pro Series and FLW, but they're owned by the same company right now. Then you have the Bassmaster Elite Series, which is the third, and now there's the league, the new fishing league that came out, that's a fourth. And there's pluses and minuses to it. But go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, for years people toyed with Kelly Slater starting a dream tour. And I actually always thought it would make sense to just, take the top few and just have them go to Fiji, Tahiti, Mentawai, and just have them the best waves and the best days, and that's it.
So am I misremembering? I thought they were kind of talking about like with that tour being like him and other legends,
Yeah.
Like if they were kind of retiring from the, like the PGA has the PGA and then the senior PGA. Wasn't it kind of do a deal like that where it's like the retired guys, like the older classics surfing, like it would be like Fannin, Parko.
That's kind of a cool idea, actually.
I think it'd be a great idea. Who wouldn't want to see Machado surf against, Fanning in a wherever, and somewhere fantastically, like a right hand point break somewhere in California and on Baja.
Well, the thing with Kelly is he's still has a competitive burn, and he ended up number 9 last year or 10, and then he just made it to the semis of the pipes. In the last wave where he burned John on, if he had priority, that would have been a 10, and he would have went to the finals.
Yep.
I mean, that's the thing with Kelly. He's still surfing at that level at 46, I think he is, or 44. 46. And he's still out surfing 20-year-olds. It's insane.
Shred Zeppelin, man. Shred Zeppelin.
Red Zeppelin. Dude, he they had this thing on Instagram where it was him and John Florence. They're like doing this thing where they're going to each break in Hawaii and like they're competing against each other. Like best score for the best wave. Did you see that, B?
Yeah. So that's the interesting thing I was saying a few minutes ago. They're running the Triple Crown like that. So basically, like these guys are just surfing together, having a good time, but they're taking their best waves and then submitting them for the Triple Crown. And it's just them having surf offs with their buddies at Haleiwa the other day, for example. And John got that sick wave that is all over the internet now, where you got scored like a 94.5 or something like that. It's I think you could do something like that for sure, and all around the world. Just pick a handful of spots. He's going to choose Fiji, do restaurants and cloud break depending what day's breaking. Go to Tahiti, do.
Dude, did you see Nathan Florence's bomb the other day at Pipe?
Goodness, did you? You told him the GoPro angle one?
Dude, and they had from the beach where he just got spit out. Like, oh my god,
unreal.
The guy's nuts.
I actually just saw that today. That was unbelievable.
And Koa got one too. That was just as. And when those guys are saying Pipe is scary, I mean, Jason Andre got pounded.
You hear his interview? He said, I got 3 waves. He's like, first one I made, second one I got crushed, third one I broke my board.
Yeah. And he had this huge cut from the reef. Yeah. No, did Nathan have the cut from the reef or one of the two of them? Yeah. It was huge.
Well, guys, we're coming up to the end here. We do have our time limit on this thing, so we can't go over. I think this was great. Good catching up with both of you as always. On Thursday, we are looking to have Mr. Christopher Barbieri on to talk a little about snowboarding up in New Hampshire, as well as getting into rock climbing here in the Northeast and what that looks like. Who would have thought you can rock climb here in New Jersey and beyond?
It's huge down here.
Yeah, it's huge here too, man.
You guys have like those trek places where you can indoor climb?
Yeah, a lot of indoor climbing, a lot of bouldering, and then we're not far from the Shogunks, however the heck you say it, up in the Catskills. So some top-notch climbing here on the East Coast. So he's going to talk a little bit about that with us as well, and what it takes to kind of get into it. So that'll be airing on hopefully Friday morning, unless something comes up with him. But everyone, thank you for listening. Joe, always a pleasure. Brian.
Yep. Before we leave, I want to give a shout out to stretchinglines.com. They do sponsor me in the show and hook me up with great products. So be sure to check them out and use discount code JMStaff15.
Amen to that, man. Stretchinglines.com. All right, guys. Have a good night. All right.
All right. See you guys.
All right,
good night, everybody.
Bye.
All right. So that was the Hacker Outdoors podcast. If you like what you heard, please give us a rating on whatever platform you're listening to or watching this on. Please check the show notes for some of the links about the topics we discussed today. And as always, please go ahead and check out our Anchor site via our Linktree or any of the other links that we have posted around social media to leave us a message if you'd like to be included in one of our future episodes. I thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later this week. Take care.